Turn our attention to the Prime Minister, his challenge on the climate front, and an interesting argument in question time. He says it's not a linear direction to 2050. He's saying that some of these technologies needed to reach the net zero need long lead times, basically, Andrew.
And the question is, can you believe the target then? To which some people in government are saying to me, well, can you believe any country's target that they're taking to Glasgow? This is the problem. A lot of the technology that the government's talking about, hydrogen, carbon capture, not at sufficient levels yet in order to produce that sort of target. But we know on the technology front, things can move very quickly. Now, I've picked up some intelligence out of the various party rooms today, Kieran. The Nationals party room, we know they met again. We know they're ticked off that Scott Morrison has thrust this in front of them 2 weeks before Glasgow. But there does seem a feeling they will agree to net zero. Will they demand some money for it? You'd say so. There are 4 holdouts, I'm told, in the Nats party room. Keith Pitt, the Resources Minister, that could be an issue for him. Matt Canavan, George Christensen, Lou O'Brien. Not to say all the others or any of the others are saying yes. They are 4 definite no's, I'm told, at the moment. And at the Liberal Party room, Scott Morrison was there, stressing for the first time something we've been speculating on, Kieran, for a couple of weeks now, that this net zero target is a swap, is a deal with the US and the UK for the AUKUS nuclear submarines deal. Now, no one's denied that, and the Prime Minister didn't mention that specifically, but what he did tell that Liberal Party room was that it had national security implications, or should I say security implications, not to adopt net zero, and it would have implications in terms of our role in the Western alliance with the US and the UK. So I think you can join the dots from that. Scott Morrison also told that Liberal Party room meeting that it would be a cabinet decision, net zero, that he would take to Glasgow. In that sense, it's not the Nationals deciding, as certainly the opposition is portraying it. He's trying to argue the PM, I want a net zero target, I want Cabinet to agree. Well, there are Nationals ministers in that Cabinet, and one of the participants in that Liberal Party room did say to me they didn't think Cabinet on Wednesday would be the end of the matter, Kieran. It's got a long way to go, a lot more convincing of the Nationals. It could be a Cabinet meeting next week before there's the final sign-off, just before he hits the plane, Scott Morrison.
Interesting nuance in his argument today, Andrew. He's not shying away from the fact that the science is there, the fact that the international markets are moving, the fact that he believes agriculture in the regions can benefit from setting a target of that nature. But he differentiates the government's approach with what he says is the blank cheque from Labor. It's a really interesting debate. I've got Chris Bowen coming on. I wonder where they go. What do they do in terms of those midterm targets? Do they give the government a stick to whack them with once again? Or do they say something like, we will commit to a target of the trajectory you say we're going to reach anyway? That should help neutralise it, you'd think, but I guess the government will use anything they can to try and say Labor's being irresponsible once again. It's worked so many times for them.
But will it work this time? There's something a little bit less convincing about it, but let's see. Anthony Albanese's famous, he said once in an interview with me, I'm not going to swing at every sucker ball. He didn't swing at the nuclear submarine sucker ball. He was aligned with the government on that. Here's some risk for him because they really did get beaten up over the 45% reduction by 2030 target. But if you're hitting net zero, aren't you heading in that direction anyway? How convincing an argument would it be for the PM? Not as convincing as 2019, I dare say, but it is a challenge for the opposition. And on the other side of it, here's another challenge for the opposition. If they make it that there's not a cigarette paper between them and the government on every issue, why would you vote for them? What do they actually stand for? Notwithstanding, this has proven to be not the hill to die on in Australian elections, Kieran.
Yeah, indeed. Not swinging at every sucker ball. Well, this one's the ultimate, isn't it? It's about a foot outside off stump and swinging away. I wonder if Albanese will play it or not. As I said, I've got Chris Bowen coming on shortly.